Okay, we're gonna start the meeting 5:32 p.m. on Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. And then I will roll call. So Tim Schroeder,
Here.
Sarah Larson,
Here.
Ken Gaudreau,
Here.
Charlie Getka,
Here.
and James Boardman.
Here.
Now we're gonna election of chairperson and vice chairperson. Do you have any nominations? Does anyone have nominations?
I would like to nominate Sarah Larson for chairperson.
Is there a second?
Second.
You are chairperson. Sarah, what about a vice chairperson?
I will run that. That's once I'm elected, then I can run the vice chair.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Do we have any nominations for a vice chairperson? I nominate Tim Schroeder. Yep. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And Tim is our vice chairperson. Thank you, Tim. All right, statement of public notice posted in 3 places. City administration offices, the police department, and the Matheson Memorial Library, and published in the newspaper on April 9th, 2026. Is that correct, Rebecca?
It is.
Thank you. Confirmation that notices of assessment were mailed and open book session was held. Is that also?
That was complete, yes.
Okay. All right, certification of board of review members. Do we have someone who took the training this year?
We do.
All right, and that person?
Ken Gaudreau.
Thank you, Ken. Oh, certificate, I think that's the oath certification, I believe.
For Ken.
Certification of board review members.
Well, everyone takes it.
Okay. But one person took the we skipped to 7.
Oh, yes, we have the verification.
Okay.
We'll be doing the verification at the end.
Excellent. All right, receive the 2026 assessment roll and sworn statements from the assessor.
Yes.
So, and then we will review the roll so that it's just you pass it around.
I did email it
Yep,
beforehand.
we
as
did
well.
email it. Yep. All right. So we have the roll, and everyone has looked at that. Swearing in of the assessor.
I'm sorry.
You want to read it to me?
I will.
Okay.
Or Christy, you want to do it? Whatever one.
You can do it. That's
Okay. All right, Laura, if you could state your right hand and just repeat after me. I state your name.
Lori Sacco,
The assessor for the city of Elkhorn.
the assessor for the city of Elkhorn.
In said country, do solemnly swear that the annexed and assessment roll contains.
You want me-
Yeah.
I didn't read this
That's a
beforehand.
long
Oh, no,
It
no,
is
no,
a
that's
long
fine.
one.
And if it's okay, I can read it. Or do you need to read it to me?
I've always done it where you just repeat
Oh, sure.
after, but yeah.
All right. The assessor for the city of Elkhorn in said county do solemnly swear to the annexed assessment roll contains,
According to my best information and belief,
according to my best information and belief,
a complete list of all property liable for assessment for the present year and the valuations of property liable for assessment for the present year in said municipality.
a complete list of all properties liable for assessment for the present year, and that the valuations of property liable for assessments for the present year in said municipality
Have been made with the best information available that can practically be obtained using professionally accepted appraisal practices.
have been made with the best information available that can be practically be obtained using professional acceptable assessment practices.
I swear that I have performed without prejudice all the duties of the said office of assessor with respect to such assessment roll.
I swear that I have performed without prejudice all the duties of the office of the assessor with respect of such assessment rule.
Notice of change assessment as required by state law were deposited in the U.S. mail on, and there's a date on there.
Oh, I have the same one, so, okay. Notice that the change assessments as required by the state were deposited in the mail on the USDA, and I can add that on. So
The
normally,
date's on there as well.
is there?
Yep, on March 12th, 2026.
In here,
That's the one I grabbed from there.
there should be a separate oath in there. This is the
Oh, this
assessor
is the
affidavit.
assessor's affidavit. Okay,
Mhm.
my bad.
So I was like, this sounds really different.
No, I just made all these copies and got myself confused. You're right. So I apologize. It's the wrong one. I gave her the longer one.
That's
So
okay.
we'll do this one. There was a lot going on
That was
before
a
the
long
meeting.
oath.
So
No, no,
there's
no,
that.
that's fine.
I apologize. Okay. So I state your name,
Lori Sacco.
having been elected or appointed to the office of assessor for the, it's not filled out. It's yours.
It's for the city of Elkhorn.
Okay, sorry, City of Elkhorn.
So I, Lori Sacco, have been elected or appointed to the office of the assessor for the city of Elkhorn.
Swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you for
Mhm.
noticing that. That would have been bad going all the way through. And then that's for you to sign afterwards, right?
We can say that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I need one of the assessor affidavits back. So I'll just sign this one now. And if you could sign that one. We're doing fantastic.
Yes,
Rebecca.
you're good.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right, thank you, Rebecca and Lori. All right, so our next one is the review of notices of intent to file. Has everyone on the board have a chance to review our notices of intent to file that we received?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay with moving on. All right, so we have objections to be heard. Starting with case number 1, Daniel and Jacqueline Dams. If you guys could come up to the desk and state your name and your address, please. Oh, I'm sorry, not yet. Hold. But no, come to the desk, just don't state your name and address yet. Sorry. All right, Rebecca, can you introduce the case for us?
This case is of Daniel J. Dams. Property owner resides at 1319 Robin Crest Lane. The address for the property in question is 1319 Robin Crest Lane. The tax key number for this property is YOAK 00010. This property has been classified for assessment purposes as residential. The value in the assessment roll for the current year is land value $38,100, improvements $461,900, and a total assessment of $500,000. And
All right, and then,
Are those numbers correct? Or is it?
I don't think that's correct.
this is the information that was provided. Let's look on the roll.
There was an open book change.
Oh, okay.
That puts it at the 500,000.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So that numbers, we're using the original numbers then.
You should use the 500,000, that's what's in the roll.
Okay, that's what I thought so too.
Okay, so that's not what he had on here, but that's what the,
That's
Open
what
book.
the, yes,
okay.
correct. Do we move forward or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we will have you swear in the witnesses.
Okay. Would all the persons intending to provide testimony for this hearing, including the assessor, please raise your right hand to be sworn? All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now on hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Would each person who has just been sworn please state your name and address for the record?
Daniel Doms, 1319 Robin Crest.
Jacqueline Doms, 1319 Robin Crest Lane.
Assessor, please state the estimated level of assessment for the current year.
100%.
If I could just jump in here real quick, just to kind of get some of the procedural stuff. As a practical matter, could you guys move the microphone over in between the two of you? That'd be helpful. And then, so just so I'm clear, so what's the current assessed number after open book?
500,000 even.
500,000 even?
Correct.
Okay, and how is that split between land and improvements?
38,100 and 461,900 is what we
Okay.
have on our sheet.
Okay. All right, so procedurally where we're at, as the property, the way the board of review works in the state of Wisconsin is that the assessor's assessment is presumed to be correct. So that means the burden of proof is on you as the applicants to convince the board that there was a mistake and that your number is actually correct. That means that procedurally you get to go first, you get to present your case, you've been sworn now, so you'll give testimony as to what you think the value actually is. You can have any witnesses, you can both testify. The assessor then would have, once you're finished with your testimony, the assessor would have the opportunity to question you. The board would then have the opportunity to question you. After that, your side of it's closed, then the assessor is going to present the case as to why she thinks the property is valued at what it is. You would then have the opportunity to question her. Again, the board has the right to question her. And then at that point, testimony closes, and then the board's going to deliberate from there what they feel like the correct result is here. Okay, but again, I just want to make sure clear that the presumption in Wisconsin is that the assessor is correct, so the burden of proof is on you. Okay.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Doms, if you want to start your testimony.
Yeah, we moved out here 2 years ago, and the next year our house jumped to $646,000.
We'll just go with the 500.
Okay,
'cause that's where
500,
we're at.
although we just paid on the 646, but at $500,000, so my wife being a real estate agent, I said, do me a favor, comp the house out if we were going to sell it. We can't even get to 400,000. So the burden of proof is on us. I have comp after comp of houses sold in our area that comp out comparable to our home that are all between 350 and 420, 430.
440.
440 being a high end. Our house is very old, it needs a lot of work, and we're getting put above the top value that I can find for our home. And
We've handed in all documents. We called an appraiser who said they were gonna reach out to you as well, that they're coming out tomorrow, or Friday, I'm sorry. But I have, which we provided to her, our inspection report of all the damages or major defects that we're gonna have to repair on our house. When we paid this amount for the house, was because we were moving out of Racine County. We wanted to bring our kids out here for a better school district, a better community. So what we paid for the house was what it was worth to us, what we were willing to pay to get out of our current situation. I understand that you look at sales price, but I also would think that you would take our property and look at it properly and compare it to the properties in our neighborhood, instead of saying that we're on 5.75 acres when this parcel is only on 0.75. I feel like I have provided ample paperwork to the assessor to prove that 500 is still too high. I could not list my house for that.
Is that the end of your testimony?
yeah, I mean, I've
I
submitted
feel
all
we-
the documents and tried to present the best case that we could.
Okay.
And then afterwards, which I just would like to say this because I feel like we've been over many conversations with this assessor company. And the last conversation we had, it was almost like a threat that our Geneva parcel was gonna get taxed beyond belief. So it's like a witch hunt. That's what I feel like at this point. We haven't been talked to, in a decent manner. It's condescending, and now we're terrified of what we're gonna look at for our Geneva parcel. It doesn't even relate to this one.
Okay, thank you. Assessor, sorry.
Sure, let me hand out some materials here to.
Wait a second, Lauren, before you present your case, did you have any questions for the applicants or no?
Yeah, so, thanks for coming today. I know I've spoken, with you, sir, a couple times on the phone. One of the times we had spoken was a bit about the purchase. Can you tell me when you purchased the property?
Our close date was August 1st of 2024. 2024.
And at that time, you had purchased 2 parcels together, is that correct? And is there any easements, or right-of-ways, on the parcel in Elkhorn to get to the parcel in the town of Geneva?
No, it's one long driveway.
Okay. And when I had spoken to you, we had discussed kind of about buying those 2 together, and one of the comments, and I just want to make sure I was hearing you correctly, was that you wouldn't buy them separately, you would buy them together.
For that amount, correct.
Okay. Just all the questions I have.
Does the board have any questions?
Well, what does the assessment for this property show how much land they're assessed at? It's on record, is it not?
Within the city limits, correct? Because they have 2 parcels, one in Geneva, one in the
Well,
city
that I know,
limits.
I'm all familiar with the property.
So
Me
are you asking
too.
about this? Are you asking about this property in specific?
Specific, yeah, I mean, their objection is they think they're assessed on all their property, which majority is in town of Geneva.
I actually have
We have
confirmation of that.
confirmation that
But-
At
they
least
did.
originally, we were.
On your tax roll, on your assessment, it shows the acreage, does it not?
It does.
What does it show?
It shows it as 0.752 acres.
Okay, so then we did not assess them for their Geneva Township land.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question. So when you talk that purchase price, is that both parcels?
Correct.
The
Correct.
house and the acreage too?
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
No, When I
There.
started this process, and I have an email to just, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but to verify what I'm saying. When I started talking to the city, it was clearly stated to me that I had to prove that both parcels were separate because it had been taxed for the 6 acres or 5.5
And
acres.
this lady that we were emailing said, we see this purchase price as what you paid for this parcel and not the additional 5 acres in Geneva. But at the beginning of this, when we first talked to them, well, you talked to her
Yeah.
more than I did.
They had us down with everything being combined in one property, which I thought maybe it was a mistake, and that's why it was taxed so high. Because that house on 6 acres in the city of Elkhorn would make complete sense to me. And I know I submitted all this, but I mean, it was, when I said that, I had to send them the different lot numbers,
The parcel number.
and then they came down almost immediately.
And with all the fixes from
Yeah.
the inspection.
Can I ask the assessor a question?
She'll present her case
Go first,
shortly.
and then we can ask our questions.
At this point, we're just asking the applicants questions.
Sorry.
I do have a question if I'm allowed to ask one. So you are getting a separate tax bill on the Geneva parcel, right?
Correct.
And what is that assessed at?
I have a copy of my documents.
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me.
You don't know offhand? Okay, I'll ask that later. And then I had another question too, and I lost like what it was. Oh, that's right. So under state law and under the city's ordinances as well, the applicants are required to put a number on what you think the correct number is. What, it's not, I see you put a range in here, but did you guys settle on a number that you think is the correct number?
Based off me, I would go with the recommended price of $398 for list price. I can't really, I don't, if you were following assessments by tax year, maybe $385. We haven't done any improvements. I mean, everything is as is, plus all the fixes to the roof, to the electrical, to plumbing. I mean,
In your form indicated the property was actually listed for 724.9 before you bought it, right?
Yes.
Was it always listed with the extra 5 acres, or was it listed separately?
It was always listed with the
It
5
was,
acres.
okay. And the 5 acres is contiguous to your parcel though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There must be a survey, right? When you
We
bought
didn't-
it?
We didn't order a survey.
Oh, when you buy land, don't they normally survey it?
Not all the time, no. A buyer can ask for a survey to be done, but you don't have to. There's usually records in that when the agent files the paperwork in the beginning of the listing. It's called a search and hold. So it'll pull up old county records of surveys.
I'm just saying the definition between the two parcels would have been pretty evident then if the survey was done.
It would be, the separation would have been evident.
And glaringly obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a mortgage on the property when you guys bought it, or no?
No.
No, you didn't. I said normally the banks require an appraisal, but okay.
To us, it was the combination of the two together made the price worth it to us. I knew that separately, as I told the assessor, separately, it wouldn't be worth that.
Well, I guess that's kind of my question. I mean, so if you put the property value at about 400,000 just for the house parcel, are you saying that you think the 5 acres in the back is worth 200,000
No,
No.
or 300,000, I guess?
no.
Because you paid
No.
7. You paid 7
Correct.
for it.
I mean, we paid for the value that we wanted this property in a market that people were paying 50, 100,000 over asking price everywhere. And we had,
Especially
that was
for
just,
land.
for us to get that house, we had to be aggressive. We have 6 kids, the property was very important to us, the price was high, and we looked at this house for over a year. I also looked at tax records, the budget, if we could afford to make this move as well, and then when I
Right.
got my tax assessment, which doubled, I mean, not many people can budget, nobody expects that. And we're willing to, what's fair is fair. We're just
Right.
asking, we can't comp it out to make it make sense.
Right. Are there any other questions from the board for the applicants? at this
I do
point?
not. I'm waiting to hear from the assessor. I do have questions for her.
Okay, you're up.
Perfect. I'll give some of the documents to you guys first.
We can share it.
Oh,
if
you
like.
can, Lori, you can get mine.
Yeah.
Piggyback off of somebody.
You can join them.
I have this.
So, a fair amount of documents there. This is a pretty unique situation, given that there's a recent sale, but it's not as straightforward as a single parcel, and not even as straightforward as a 2 parcel within the same municipality. I have in the documentation, I call it a snippet just off of the county GIS, that I have an arrow should be pointing at the main parcel being in the city of Elkhorn, and then the back lot, which falls under the town of Geneva, which is that long rectangle lot, and that's the one again in the town of Geneva. There's another document in there that will talk about, or at least is the screen print from MLS, which talks about the sale. The last page would coincide with the e-transfer from the state that the assessor receives, which is how we are aware of the sale. And verify the sale, and it has both of those parcels listed, both again in the city of Elkhorn and the town of Geneva, and the sale price as well. And again, that was at $700,000. It does list it as an arm's length transaction, which shows up in our system. One thing I wanted to address was the question if we were assessing originally all of that into the city of Elkhorn's parcel. No, we were not. I am very thankful that you guys shared the email communication. That was a learning opportunity for whomever might have stated that within the company. From the records that I see that have been on record, that was not the case. We do see that there were 2 separate parcels were in that sale, and we also do cover the or the town of Geneva, so I see the sale on both sides. The portion that was assessed within the city of Elkhorn was reflective of that single parcel within the city of Elkhorn, not reflective of the parcel in the town of Geneva. So again, I thank you for sharing that. I did circle back to the person, but I can confirm that was not necessarily the case there. We were aware that it was between two parcels. The e-transfer from the state does state that, and that is how it's reflected in our system. Let's see, where do we want to go next? Another sheet I want to bring to your attention is a part of the Wisconsin Assessor Manual. On the second page of that, or the back side of the page of that section, the first main paragraph talks about the Markerian hierarchy. That is a court case that got put inside of the WEPAM that essentially gives instruction to assessors on how we would prioritize valuation. Markerian does state that the sale of oneself is the best indication of market value. Essentially, period. The second sentence after that is if there is no sale of oneself, then you would go to sales of comparables. So the sale of oneself is the biggest weight associated to this parcel. Again, it is a very unique situation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I'm going, and I do have the town of Geneva, as that was also a question in there, just as far as where that is currently valued at. This is also under review. We are not done with the town of Geneva right now. I can say that what was reflected on that parcel, as we've been, again, our review isn't done, but our field work was just being performed. Part of that, we recognize that one of the items on that parcel is not accurate. It's missing a lean-to. The barn or stable is listed as a garage. So there are going to be updates that are reflected on that parcel, just to name a couple. And that is one of the reasons why there was a shift in value in this parcel, because there's going to be balance between the two parcels of total value towards that sale. So the reduction here will, in some degree, be affected into the other parcel. So just overall, originally that 636 and about the 66,000 in total was reflective of that 700,000 or a nod towards that sale price. The reduction here, and as we update the other parcel, we'll have a bit more of that balance also going forward. I did do a sales comparable, which is kind of the traditional way we might take a look at looking at sales that would have occurred this last year. If we're just looking at the house without consideration of the town of Geneva parcel, without consideration of the access to that additional acreage, as the property owners have stated, is just on their parcel and wouldn't have been sold one without the other. I can understand that opinion of value, because even that adjusted grid on that leans it more to about $420,000. But again, this isn't just the house. There's also that right-of-way passage directly to that other parcel that is essentially contiguous to it. So there is a big something there that isn't just a standalone two-story home within the city of Elkhorn. This is, there's no line item within that grid that's going to speak to that valuation. And I think I would lean more towards the sale as indicated by the WEPAM and the Markerian hierarchy that talks more about where an assessor would put more priority of value. So when there's not just kind of a price point directly for that, we would lean more towards the sale value. I think I've talked through each of the documents that are in there, but of course, I believe some of you have any questions, and I do welcome that, as well as the property owners.
So we ask questions first of the property owners.
For the property owners, would cross
Okay, go
examine
ahead.
first.
You said that the barn was never on the property. I could go back to listings years back that said there was a barn on there. We haven't, that barn is pretty much falling apart. I mean, your assessor is welcome to come walk back there. I mean, it's not an improvement by any means. And for the building that we just put back there, we pulled permits. We totally expect to be taxed. But what was stated on the telephone, it felt threatening. And this isn't a game, this is our life.
But we're not talking about your Town of Geneva property.
she
I
brought
get
it
it.
up.
Yeah,
I'm
she did.
sorry.
But
I,
we're talking about your City of Elkhorn property.
That's
So if you have
what-
any questions about your City of Elkhorn property, she can answer those. She can't answer anything about your Town of Geneva property.
I just think you could just nail that they're completely separate. I mean, to have an easement, anybody on Robin Crest could buy those acreage. The farm could still own that acreage. Anybody can drive back there. I
We
could
could
shake the
sell
neighbor's
it.
hand and let them get back there. I could sell it and shake somebody's hand and let them
I
get
could
back
put
there.
it in the listing contract with an amendment saying that we still own that parcel, though they're two separate parcels.
Yeah.
So I don't understand just because it's a long driveway to the back of Geneva and that's how it was sold. Why, we're taxed two separate parcels, so it's not part of Elkhorn.
Yeah, sure. What would typically happen if that was the case? Let's say you did sell that right. Most likely would happen because the sale would come through and we would do a review as we would any other sale. There would be an adjustment based off of the right of way essentially on yours and that access point to a neighbor's. So there would generally be a balance of value assessed at that time because that would be a shift in rights and access.
And as for the value is a number that we paid for something. If you were to buy a car and I insured you and said, oh, you paid $100,000 for that collectible car that's only worth $50,000, but I'm going to insure you the $100,000, you're paying a value. It was worth what it was worth to us.
And
As an assessor, you should pull comps. You should come to the house. You should do your job, right?
Okay,
You've never been to our
careful.
house, though. You've never seen it. You're going off a number that popped up on your computer and you assessed it a value. I don't understand how that's fair. For us to sell our home, we have to pull comps and hire a real estate, a realtor, and they have to go through and they have to be fair when they list the home. I'm not seeing any comps on your part. I'm not seeing, I mean,
Well,
the
here-
comparisons, but it's putting you down at 420, not 646.
And that's
And-
what you could list
And if
for.
I was to sell my home, I'd have to do the roof. I'd have to put a new water heater, a new furnace in it. I mean, the house is old. And that's all I've asked is for transparency, a little clarity, and where is this number coming from? How is this fair to somebody that bought a house and went, okay, my taxes are $5,000 a year. I can afford that. All of a sudden, you get something in the mail, goes, whoa, wait, at $9,500, I don't know that I can afford that anymore.
I don't know if it was 9,500.
It's
but
just,
close.
that's why I'm here. When I reached out to the appraiser who will be there Friday, he said he's done 26 of these cases this year. So it's not just Elkhorn specifically or me. I understand there's a flaw, but I'm looking for clarity for my family.
Did you have any specific questions for her or no?
No.
Does the board have any questions for the assessor?
I do. Thanks. So with their assessed value, what were the assessed values of the neighboring properties that bordered that?
Part of the property?
Yeah, so
That
that would also have access to that property if for whatever reason they sold it.
Do you have parcel numbers or do you want me to look
Well, you
them
can
up?
look at your own thing right there. YOKAK, sorry, I'm stealing your thing. 409 would be the next one right next to them. So did their assessments go up? I know the answer. Do you want me to answer it? Because I already know.
That's up to you. You ask the
Yeah.
question if you'd like to.
I just want to verify, like, did these neighboring properties go up next to it? If you're talking about, like, their assessed value went up however much based off of a driveway to additional land, did the surrounding properties next to it also increase that much? Of the potential to access that property if it was sold?
Well, again, the other properties would just have whatever the improvements are on that property, right? So it wouldn't be the sale, which would be the predominant factor.
So you're
Like,
basing their assessment just off the sale?
That's the primary per mark here.
But don't you have to assess the neighboring properties off of the sale as well?
They would have an influence, but not then we would have to go to sale of comparables and they wouldn't have that same.
That would be comparable though,
property.
because those houses right there are all pretty similar, correct?
Do we have that out there? The additional comps that the property owner brought, because that was coming from the property owner.
So this most recent one that sold in 2024, which would have been prior to theirs, correct?
To my knowledge, I believe they had cited on that, on the sheet that I received with the objection, were ranch-style properties. And generally, if there's a two-story style property, would stick to more
Correct.
story-style properties.
The one 1322 is a ranch.
That's what it has, I believe.
The other sheet. Oh, I guess I'm looking at like 1309. Those are comps. 1301. The ones next to them are similar in
Right, I was just,
style.
sure, I was just quoting what when I was looking up, right, when the property owner supplies information, I like to take a look at it too.
Yeah.
So, the one directly next went up about $4,700 or about 2%.
And theirs went up how much? The Downs people here. I'm sorry. Sorry if I'm butchering your last name.
Okay, it is Dom's.
How much percentage did theirs go up?
Taking a look.
About 90%.
Yeah.
Once you go up,
And again, that was more a reflection, oh, I'm sorry, let me get the exact calculation. So technically, again, from the prior year, it's now gone down, but from the prior to sale purchase, there's prior to purchase. It's gone up about 45%.
So the surrounding properties went up 2%, theirs went up 45%.
Correct.
it seems a little stiff.
Yeah, I agree. I get about the sale. They paid what they want to pay for that property because they paid for it with the additional acreage. So I don't think you're comparing apples to apples there because they're paying that. If we're taking just the house,
Well, how does, that's actually my, how does, because I've never, this is a very unique, I've never seen a situation quite like this before either, honestly. But when you're evaluating just the value of this, just this parcel, just the one that's in the city, what factor, how do you factor in the fact that it is contiguous to this 5-acre lot that's right behind it? In other words, I know you paid what you paid, but if the 5-acre lot happened to be half a mile down the road and you bought them both at the same time, that's not, obviously not of the same amount of value because it's not contiguous to your house. So when you're assessing this, how do you factor that in?
Sure. So sometimes it can be factored in a handful of different ways. I've seen it done with a positive land influence. Now this lot has more of an advantageous factor to it because it has that direct access. Sometimes if there's a separate easement, that's one of the questions I had for the property owners. Is there a separate easement that would be on file that we could take a look at? And without that, it's sometimes it's easier to separate. So it could be on the land, it could be just baked into the overall total value, right? Because at the end of the day, it's looking at the total assessed value. So when we did more of a sales comp comparable to the sales, there was an additional factor into the total, which was put onto the improvement for the perceived benefit of having that direct access to the continuous parcel without a separate easement. But again, it's also because of the sale, whether we were the assessors for the other parcel or not, we would have had a discussion with the other assessor just on trying to work through
Well,
that
that was kind of my next
together.
question. So theoretically, and I realize we're just dealing with the Elkhorn property tonight.
Absolutely,
And
yep.
so you're the assessor for Geneva as well?
Accurate is, I'm
Oh,
not the
okay.
statutory, but yeah.
But theoretically, the assessment of the two together should be comparable to what it would have been if it was all in one jurisdiction, or no?
To our understanding, based on the DOR's instruction, based on the Wisconsin Assessor Manual and Marquette hierarchy, correct?
Okay. But just in this case, it happens to be split between two parcels and two jurisdictions.
Correct.
Wow.
Is there a reason it went up 45%?
One of the main factors was the purchase of the
The
property.
sale price?
Correct.
but that's taking into account the entire property, not the house itself. Yeah, I mean, not specifically just the house. Like, they weren't gonna pay 700,000 for that house, when it's just a house. They paid it for the additional land.
So I think, in other words, you made a mistake by incorporating the whole amount in for that one parcel. Correct?
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm so
You,
sorry.
you had 700,000 as the purchase price for that parcel.
That would have been a reflection of both purchase. Some was noted on the town of Geneva, the other for
But
the
how did
city
you
of Elkhorn.
separate it?
It's separated. It's
I
by
mean, it's
parcel.
separated on the line of the map, but how did you separate the purchase price? How much did you get
Oh,
on it?
Yeah, one of the other differences to my understanding, but I can double check, is the town of Geneva was still under a maintenance year, which doesn't reflect immediately market, and city of Elkhorn does. So there is more of an immediate reflection within the city of Elkhorn versus the town of Geneva.
And then this is the real estate transfer return from the purchase.
From the Department of Revenue.
And it looks like it's just, so 700,000 is reported in total for all, it wasn't broken out. Is there any way to do that? Do you know, and when the multiple parcels are purchased, is there a mechanism to allow that to be separated out, or is that just not done?
Yeah, a lot of times we have to use best information available, so sometimes that's supplied through things like an appraisal and others, and we didn't receive an appraisal, to my understanding.
Well, taking into account that whole purchase price on that 0.75 acres is not correct, I don't feel like.
So the adjustment at Open Book, that was what you guys adjusted at Open Book, because they contested at Open Book?
Correct.
And where did the 500,000 come from?
So that was a reflection looking, to my understanding, it was not me personally,
Yeah.
but from that assessor, looking at the totality of the purchase and into the town of Geneva. And again, I know we're not here to talk about the town
Right.
of Geneva, but it was reviewing both parcels and recognizing where with some of those reflections of that record that needed to be updated, where that balance really should have been, because a detached garage, for example, is worth less than a stable. So there would have been more balance there, which would have reduced part of this and could have put more reflection onto that parcel.
So you're trying to average it out, even though the improvements are on the town of Geneva parcel,
There's-
not the Elkhorn parcel.
There is improvements on both. But right, when we were looking at the division based on the information that we had at that time,
Mhm.
it looked differently than looking now, after talking with the property owner and reviewing the MLS, where that might, probably should have been split a little bit differently.
What improvements have they done to it in the last 2 years?
When I say improvement, I'm just speaking as behalf of normally when we're talking about value, there's the land value and an improvement value. So it doesn't mean that they've specifically improved the property. It just means anything improved upon the raw land, which could be sheds or stables or homes or, whatever that may be. So I don't mean it as far as it's been improved, although MLS does note that there were improvements on the dwelling, but
What was the assessed value before the open book adjustments?
36.
That was the 636 number?
Yes.
And that was for all 5 acres or just the city of Elkhorn property?
Just the city of Elkhorn
So
property.
600,000 was the assessed value for that house with just the 0.75 acres?
Correct.
636,000 for
Yeah.
0.75 acres.
Yeah.
Now, you purchased the land in 2024 or the house?
I'm gonna sell my house
Okay,
tomorrow.
now the
anyway.
purchase price reflects on the assessment, does it not?
Correct.
But they didn't take into account that included the 5 acres in Geneva Township,
Correct.
which is worth $20,000 an acre at today's prices, because
I don't, whatever the town,
the
whatever
new
the county thinks
subdivision
is-
right by me in the city, they paid $22,000 an acre for that land.
Yeah,
That's
2
the
years ago.
secondary pricing for some of those, yeah.
yeah, but that's not assessed stuff. So where did we come down on, oh, I suppose we have, on what the property owners assessed their home at? I forgot.
400,000, is that what you?
Was it 440? Or
Oh,
I'm
when
just
I-
making that number up in my head.
When I did that range, I was thinking real estate as far as what it could list for. I didn't really do,
Assessed value? Um,
So does any of the other board members have any more questions of the assessor?
for the assessor. Not currently.
So then at this point, typically, I mean, I don't think I've been out here with you guys before, but some boards of review allow like a little closing summary if the parties want to do that. Otherwise, they just close it and deliberate. I'm not sure how you guys want to handle that, but,
We usually let them
okay.
have a little closing statement. You
Okay.
guys have a closing statement?
Thank you for hearing us
Yeah.
tonight.
I guess I want to close because this was our vision when we looked at this home. I'm a car guy, so if I have a car that's worth $50,000, but I have a motor that's worth $50,000, together, that's what they're worth. But if you put them together, now you have something worth more. It's not an established value. I think the Elkhorn parcel should be assessed on the value of what it's worth. I also think Geneva should be assessed on the value of what it's worth. What we paid for them, you know, it's kind of, to me, when it comes to valuing something, it should be somewhat irrelevant. You know, I just don't, I mean, do I sell my house to an LLC? You know, like, to me, that's what makes people manipulate numbers. And people sell their houses off to an LLC every 3 years to keep the prices on them. I'm asking for a fair value here. I paid what I paid because we wanted to move to Elkhorn, because our sister and brother lived out here and we love the community. To me, it was worth more than really what the house was worth. Clearly, we overpaid for it. I understood that. I knew that coming out here. It was the package is what I was paying for. It was giving my kids a better life. I can't put a value on that. You know, to me, I know that together, I kind of overpaid. And I know that we could sell the 5 acres to the farm in the back for, honestly, probably $10,000 an acre because it's not finished for commercial. There's no sewer, no drain and everything, but it was important to us. It wasn't the value of the land acreage. It was that with the house to a family. And going off with the tax that had been assessed for the last 10 years that I could see. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have your closing. We're gonna close.
Can I still? do
Yep,
it
oh,
the same
yeah,
way?
sorry, Lori.
That's okay. No problem. So again, there was a reduction in the value coming closer to, you know, if you look at the grid, that 420,000 would be the adjusted value for merely just looking without an easement or a right-of-way to that secondary contiguous parcel that we've discussed. The difference there is about a 19% difference, which would be within a realm of an influence that we would assess for a right-of-way directly to the same ownership of another land, which again comes from really trying to respect why this would be different than just a standalone parcel. So just putting in perspective there, again, per the state statutes and how the Wisconsin Assessor Manual is with mark hearing and consideration, that was the driving reason why the original value was there. Again, there's going to be some data updates on the parcel that would be in addition to this. That doesn't necessarily impact this, but to explain why there would be a reduction, and that difference between the grid essentially and where the current value is would be more of that right away, which we've already discussed how that would be adjusted if that were to shift to different property owners. And again, just to summarize from the original valuation to the open book change to where we sit today.
Thank you, Lori. All right, we're gonna close. There's a thing that you have to say.
Yeah, let me get organized here. So I have this prepared.
So I guess we're gonna close testimony and open deliberations for the board. Any comments, discussion? Motions?
I think that 45% increase is a little steep. I think we should do something with that.
I agree with Charlie on that one. But I guess the question on the floor is,
What do I want to change it to?
well, right.
It's really kind of, it's two questions ultimately. One is whether you think the applicants have overcome the presumption that the assessor's assessment is correct. And then if you found that that is the case, then the second question becomes, what's the number?
What's the number?
Am I correct that our assessor indicated a $420,000 value?
That is on this comparables for board of review. Average adjusted price is $420,587.
I guess I'm hearing that the assessment at 420 would be slightly enhanced over what the app, or the property
They're at about
owners-
400, I think.
Yep, but access to the acreage behind does
Correct.
add value to the property in front. So I would be fine with 420,000. I think that's a big adjustment from 636 to
500, yeah.
420.
You're on that 425.87, what she has down here.
I don't know if I'm seeing that. I thought
It's
the
on
number I
this
heard
top
was,
page,
It's in that packet somewhere.
which is what Lori handed out, which might be right underneath that other one.
right here, maybe. Well, 425.87.
420, yeah, 587, yeah, is what she has. That's the adjusted price. Is that a motion, Tim?
That is a motion.
I'll second.
Jim? Tim with the
for that
motion, and
amount-
Jim?
That amount, exactly,
420.
425.87.
Any other discussion? 10? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You have to roll call, I think.
Oh, roll
What
call.
was the number, one more time, sorry?
Your adjusted price of
425.87.
Make sure to round it to the nearest hundred was gonna be my only comment.
420, so you're talking 426?
420,600.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Roll call.
Tim Schroeder,
Yes.
James Boardman,
Yes.
Charlie Getka,
Yes.
Sarah Larson,
Yes.
Ken Gaudreau.
Yes.
Motion passes. She will have your, if you guys want to wait, has to go make some copies, and she'll have that for you guys in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to give Rebecca a minute to get all of her things copied and filled out, and then we will move on to the next case. Yep, 2026 final assessment. Oh, we had to break it out.
Yeah.
Just
Your facts are there.
I gotta go to, I gotta make a presentation.
Contentious for a lot of cities, you do understand.
Oh, I just wanna get it.
Yeah.
That's why we're all sitting here
Right.
tonight.
Right,
If you hadn't done that,
yeah,
you wouldn't be arguing with the
Right.
assessor.
right. Well, that's it, yeah. It's, and it's one thing, it's one thing, because you can say,
Okay.
That home is
This out of
worth
the
all
way.
Oh, was that the Ormson house there? I didn't realize that.
35 years
Vince-
ago, yeah.
Was that the original house with the farmer down there?
No.
Last
Oh,
3
you
years,
added later on
it's turned
something?
into
Yes.
every single dime.
Ormson's a mayor here 20 years ago.
I did, so I was the deputy clerk
Ended up spending over
a few years
time in
ago
the big
here.
house.
Oh.
So we had one where the
And so
condos.
there were a lot of deals, and I'm guessing that he was able to.
Was that
buy
you part of that?
farmer behind as
Oh my gosh,
Something
we were
else.
here forever.
Some sweetheart something.
And there was something.
And on your second day
property
that you guys were
lines
here,
and all
that was my last day
that weren't
here.
like you're running city sewer to land
Went out with a bang that day.
township, and just happened to be the mayor's house.
Right.
and That had nothing to do with him going to jail. That was other.
Well, I don't know the answer. I've never had, I don't think we had to deal with it, but
Yeah,
I think
because this is the same
theoretically
thing
they
over
could combine the parcels, right? I mean, I think the assessors would have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Through two different
Thank you
jurisdictions.
for coming.
I thought,
Didn't seem to.
I thought there was a way to do it.
Yeah,
I think the
I got
assessors
that down.
both
Thank you,
jurisdictions have
Charlie.
to
Bye,
sign off.
Charlie.
They used to have to agree how it's gonna be assessed.
Oh, let the record show that Charlie left at 6:30, no, 6:27, 6:27.
Okay, so she did say.
So I think that's an option. I
So
don't,
we're doing,
I don't know. I've never dealt with it, put it that way.
Yes.
No, wouldn't you to combine them, wouldn't you have to bring that
Well,
acreage
that's
into the
the
city?
other thing you do, right, it's the next amendment.
so I did a
Oh,
Annex it in and then.
yeah,
homework.
think about it, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the county. So,
I mean, because you could, drop it.
I know you have to leave shortly.
If
Okay. Yeah, I'll be here.
I just have to
So
note it
how
down.
would you guys,
Yep.
I mean, because there's no right-of-way direct access to that person's back.
Well, yeah, you're saying you could
They got the
shake
easement.
you could shake hands with somebody.
Right, right.
Doesn't mean
Well,
you're
would you
paying.
guys, I'm not sure, I've already answered this, I looked at the code enforcement, would you guys allow a house to be built back there, or just off of the driveway?
So,
I don't know about that, but I know a handshake is a system.
No, no.
Cause it could be a new one or
Right,
something.
right.
yeah, he
But
bought it
you could have
anyway,
a formal easement.
Yeah,
right?
because then if I mean, because that decides whether that's a buildable lot, right? If it's buildable at 5 acres, that's a nice chunk of land. If it's not
There's
buildable,
no access from county H.
right,
So the only access is.
that easement, right? And some of our clients would not allow that, they would say, no, unless you have actual direct access on the right of way, we're not gonna let you build back there.
I would bet, I'll be more comfortable.
Yeah.
Cause they're going off
Oh, yeah, so do. And as a buyer, I'd be nervous about having deeded right-of-way access. Because once your neighbor hates you, now you gotta worry every time you drive through, you gotta worry about someone taking shots at you.
The easement's now 8 feet wide.
Right, yeah. But, I mean, 5 acres,
That's a nice piece of property.
it is. That's a weird circumstance.
Okay. All good? All right, we'll wait for Lori to come back in, and then we'll get going on the next one, if everyone's ready. Jim, what time do you have to leave?
Shortly,
Oh, okay,
in the next 10 minutes.
okay.
Thank you, Sarah. You are so knowledgeable on this. And we went through the checklist this morning, like, we're good. But we're never good, right? Something's always missing.
Always missing. All right, so you said Prendergast is,
Off.
Out.
Yep, they got that resolved.
and WAG's probably not coming, because they're gonna go to circuit court, right?
Well, she has, can you see your training? If you want to just sign here.
Oh, you said this guy might show up. I'm trying to organize my papers a little bit. Oh, yeah. That's insane. So, what I had for Amber do last year, and it might help you for next year, is you create a folder for each case. That's for each person.
Less than 10 minutes.
Right.
So that,
That's a huge,
with all
that's a
the,
huge
yeah,
amount.
with all,
Obviously,
well,
it's a very
so,
weird circumstance.
if there was
And it sounds like the assessment.
four
was settled on
cases,
the other
we'd
parcels,
each
so
have
that
4
they may-
folders with each of the cases in it,
Okay.
and all the
But
paperwork.
it shouldn't,
And the
it's one of these
scripts.
things, I mean, you shouldn't be
So each person should
penalized
have.
because it happened to be split between two
No,
jurisdictions, but
like
they also shouldn't get the
the
benefit
chair
of
should have the scripts, you
being
can have
able
like a
to
second
play
one, but
each
like,
against each
it would
other.
have all of the stuff in, because there's like a,
There's no way to
there
assess
should be
somebody
a
that land at
sheet that says all the
Right,
motions
right,
that you can
right,
make,
700,
right.
like,
not even
I
close.
move like the assessor's value is
Right,
correct,
so they're
that
gonna-
has all
so
that
they're coming
verbiage
out
on it.
And isn't that, okay,
Yep.
yes, I know what you're talking
So
about.
each person would have that in each of the cases,
Gotcha.
so that they could write notes on it too if they wanted
And
to.
it's not worth 100 grand to
So it's, you're
anybody
talking
but
about
the
this,
property owners in that line.
that the
Right.
assessors
Or
is
the
correct.
Mhm.
Right.
So each person would have been
Now,
helpful
if
to
Geneva
have
would
this.
allow them, I'm not sure if
So they could write notes if they wanted to. And just kind of keeps everything kind of organized.
No,
Not the
yeah,
5 acre buildable lot, that may well be where it's at. And that's a good chunk of land. But I'm not sure if Geneva would.
Well,
allow
and I
it.
even remember seeing this and I still went with that.
Yeah, it's a very weird
My
circumstance.
mind is just not working today.
I think it's always good though when people leave, feeling like they were heard and they had their say.
God for you, Sarah.
All right, you ready, Lori?
they did.
We're waiting on you. Yeah. All right, so are we ready? We're gonna move on to the next one. So Prendergast has removed, so our next case will be Roy Harkness. If you wanna come to the desk, please. And then Rebecca, when you're ready, if you wanna introduce the case. Yes.
Let me clarify, I'm the agent,
Yep.
Kurt Harkness.
This case is of Roy Harkness. Kurt Harkness is the authorized agent. Property owner resides at 938 Patterson Road in Port Angeles, Washington. The address for the property in question is 331 West Jefferson Street. The tax key number for this property is YUNW00130. This property has been classified for assessment purposes as residential. The value in the assessment roll for the current year is $27,300. For land improvements is $291,500. Total assessment of $318,800.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. And then if you want to go ahead and swear in the witnesses, please.
Would all persons intending to provide testimony for this hearing, including the assessor, please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now on hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would each person who has just been sworn please state your name and address for the record, please?
Kurt Harkness, 331 West Jefferson Street, Elkhorn, Wisconsin.
Assessor, please state the estimated level of assessment for the current year.
100%.
All right. Do you want to read your statement about this is a quasi-judicial,
Sure.
blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, we can just for the record, I know you're here for the prior hearing, so, and you're familiar with the process, but the upshot is under state law, the assessor's assessment is presumed to be correct, so therefore the burden of proof is on you to prove to the satisfaction of the board that the assessment was incorrect and to prove what your number was. And in this case, it looks like you put the value of the property at $263,500, right?
Correct.
Okay. So procedurally, what we're going to do is you'll get to present your case first. You want to bring in evidence that supports your valuation. The assessor would then have the right to question you. After that, the board would have the right to ask any questions of you that they have. Then you're done. She testifies as to the numbers that she puts on the property. You have the right to question her. Then the board has the right to ask her any questions as well. And then at that point, you can do closing statements for both parties. The board will then close, and then the board body will deliberate and decide from there. Understood? Any
Yes.
question? No questions?
No, sir.
Okay, great.
All right. Kurt, if you want to go ahead and state your case.
Great, thank you. My brother and I have this property at 331 West Jefferson. We supply, on appeal, we supplied 10 comparable sales within arm's length of our property and sold within the last 9 months. 263,500 is the 70th percentile of that group of properties. Now, they're all the same, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. In this process, when we sent the appeal in with all of that information, we simply got back from the assessor's company the same number. So what was frustrating was understanding that appraisal is a profession, that we didn't see any information on how they achieved these numbers. And that may or may not have eliminated my attendance to this meeting tonight. But having no understanding of how the number was achieved was frustrating. According to what I've read from the Department of Revenue, it should be a sales approach. I think we've provided the information that backs up our case. I mean, I've got 10 sales within the last 9 months of comparable properties, and 318,000, what's 318,800, I think is the number, seems far out of reach, especially when the city of Elkhorn, over the last 27 months, has only seen, according to national real estate companies, an 8% total growth over the last 27 months. So I'm asking just to do what an appraiser could have done in the first place. And the other, I guess, and then a side comment, because I didn't realize that I could have called the city assessor. my brother, because my brother is the legal owner of the property, he had to file the appeal. There was no way to contact anybody. There was no way to question anything. I mean, I truly mean this. This could have been a lot easier process all the way around if we would have just been able to get some answers. Not knowing that the city assessor was, I mean, I understand they would be connected to the process, but then again, the way it's set up, it seems like it's in somebody else's hands to look at. I'm just trying to add maybe something that you guys might want to take a look. Try to file appeal and see how hard it is to get a hold of somebody without knowing what you know because of where you sit. It would make the process, in my case, it would have made the process easier. Because if I would have seen 3 comparables over $300,000 and you wanted to charge me $318,000 for the property, I guess we'd probably agree with it. But the 10 that I've got here, with a 70% average of 263.5 seems a lot more realistic than 318.8. So I take it for what it's worth. It was frustrating not being able to speak with anybody except with Rebecca. And thank you again, Rebecca, for everything you did for me and my brother to get this thing to the point we are today.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Do you have any questions? Do we have any questions? I don't have any questions.
I believe I did reach out to you. Do you recall a voicemail potentially that a 920 would have left on your phone? I can check my phone of when I
You may,
download.
if you called me, ma'am, I did not receive that message.
Okay.
Did either you or your brother go to open book or no?
No, we missed it because the thing is, he lives in Washington, so everything that's sent from Elkhorn ends up 2 weeks, it takes almost 2 weeks to get it. So we were only able to apply to file the appeal after the open book. So, because I mean, I think he received the tax bill the day before the open book, and we just didn't have time to prepare.
Sorry, I just want to put on the record that Jim left at 2:30, or not 2:37, 6:37.
Thank you.
Is your phone number 920-723-1441?
It is, ma'am.
Okay. I would have called yesterday and left a voicemail.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, I'm completely missed it. I would have picked the phone up, really.
Oh, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, wait, yesterday.
Yes.
If you would have been calling from the city's administrative office, I was calling the zoning board or the zoning department at the same time, and maybe that's, because I know I'd received a number of calls from the city. It comes up under city administration. But I was also asking questions to the zoning department yesterday, so when I received like 2 calls, I thought they had called me twice, and so that may have been the mistake. I just didn't see it, ma'am, really.
And, sorry, one more question here. Did you or your brother email our open book email?
I'm not aware.
Okay.
I'd have to check with honestly, I'd have to check with my brother, because because he's the legal owner of the property. And, because I had asked him, I said, have you seen the tax bill yet? And he's like, no. And then all of a sudden, it was the day before and I didn't realize until the day after that it had been the open book, so we were kind of out of step with it.
Sure. Okay.
Any other questions, Lori?
No.
Okay, any questions from the board? Nope. Okay. Lori?
Can I ask a question?
You'll get a chance after she goes, after she has to give her testimony, and you can ask your question. Write it down.
Okay, so, In review of this property, it is a residential property at 331 West Jefferson Street. Per the record I have, and I did do the in-person open book. I don't recall you or your brother attending, but there is a note in our system that we did receive an open book email. Open book could be in person. We do allow telephone and an email box as well, just to try to allow different mediums that work for everyone's schedule. We do show that there was a review at that time. Our general practice is when there is an open book email that comes in, there is at least an acknowledgement email that goes back out that we've received that. And then part of the open book practice would be that we mail out another statement that would get, it looks very similar to the original notice, but instead of whatever the original, most likely market adjustment, it would say either open book change, and then it would be reflective of a new value if we had changed value, or open book no change, and then all the information would remain the same. So there would be resolution from anyone that reaches out to us during the open book period, and that does appear to be the case on this parcel. The note itself was from April 2nd of this year, 2026. And there was a note that there were additional information supplied as far as just the 10 recent sales that were provided at that time that was in review. So I just wanted to touch on the open book piece there. As well as when the objection comes in, it is our standard practice that we do try, especially if it's filed within standard time, that we at least reach out to the property owner. I saw the agent was reflected on there, and I did reach out yesterday when I was reviewing to make sure we were on the same page, provide additional information, answer questions if I can before board. So in review, the first sheet I gave you just does a bit of a summary as it comes in. I take a look at the prior year value. 2025 was 309,700. The value for this year went to 318,800. That change in value was approximately 2.94%. One of the first things that I look at just is the kind of overall change. This year, the overall change for the city of Elkhorn in total was an average change of 4.7%. So again, I'm just taking a look in comparison to that. But also one of the two major metrics that we do look at is your style and neighborhood. And for ranches within the neighborhood this property is located in, at least per the grid of how we grid out the city of Elkhorn, that was a 2.94%. So it appears as though this property received the average change for style within the neighborhood. Underneath that, I did review the submissions by the property owner and just trying to get an idea of what they were looking at. I did pull the information that's on here from our sales grid. So I was trying to see, were these properties within a review that we would have also taken a look at this year? All but one of them would have been 402 West Walworth. Although the TH, don't take a peek at that. Was a 2026 sale, so that one wouldn't have been included. The things I wanted to just kind of highlight on there, there's a bunch of variety, and the note I put to the far right notes the style. A lot of these were of different styles that I wouldn't be my first substitution in looking outside of ranches. There were more ranches that would have been appropriate to review, or the duplex was in there as well, although I get that maybe the property owner and agent were looking maybe at location, but we do find there is quite a bit of difference when reviewing the style of property, especially duplexes, farmhouses, just kind of also to kind of
And that's
generalize.
what that 402 was, a duplex?
410 West Court Street. No, 224 North Wisconsin, excuse me. Farmhouses tend to be much older, greater variety of maybe what has been done, renovated because of the age, the general materials of those older homes as well, and type of construction, normally, again, not as comparable to a ranch-style property of the 1960s. So I wouldn't necessarily deem those as the comparables that I think are the most appropriate to use. And again, per Markarian, a sale of oneself is the best indication of market value. If not that, we jump to sales of comparables. So again, I would just say, and this aligns with the person who did the open book review, these just weren't the comparables that we feel were the best to use. So I did highlight the two that were in here, though, that were ranch-style homes, and I do reflect some of the information that of if I were to look at those two, but also just kind of bridging it out to a traditional three comparable grid as well. So the first thing underneath that grid of the sales provided by the property owner is the 2026 value of the 318,800, comparable to the value that is within the grid of the three properties, which reflects an adjusted value of 306,200. The general rule of thumb, this is not an appraisal, it's just an assessor grid to see if we are in the realm of an appropriate value. We don't make subjective per parcel adjustments. It is more of a uniform grid. If we adjust for one bedroom of the same price, we're just doing that straight across. There's a straight across value change for a different condition. Again, it's definitely more uniform and locked than the traditional appraiser grid. So the general rule by the Department of Revenue is to say, are you within 10% of that adjusted grid to the current assessed value? And that's essentially what this top sheet is trying to acknowledge, is what kind of is the difference between the assessed value and this adjusted grid. This first three-tier comp at 306,200 was within about 4% of that adjusted value. So it's within the realm of where the Department of Revenue directs us to value within. I did take a look at just the two comp grid, and I didn't print it out for you today, but just for grins of the two ranches that were within the property owners. That would have adjusted to 409, if I'm rounding, about 405,000 even, which again is about a 4.5% differential, so within that 10% that the state is looking for us. So with those pieces, there wasn't a compelling, especially receiving the standard change within the style and neighborhood, which would have been uniformly applied this year for that style of property that was aligned with that. Again, just looking at comparable sales that, again, the assessor would deem as very comparable, was within the degree of variance that an assessor would be looking for. So there wasn't an adjusted value change acknowledged by the assessor at this time.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Any questions from you, Kurt?
Because having to swallow this in a matter of moments, was equalized value used in any of your calculations?
When you're saying equalized value, what are you referring to?
Well, you were speaking, and again, because I'm trying to swallow the information I'm looking at and listening to you at the same time.
Sure.
So you were talking similar styles, similar, other properties. Are you adjusting using the, well, that's the problem. I've got too many questions. Were you using the current tax rates, the current tax information on the sales, even though it may have been different compared to the sale price?
So the comparables that I added to the grid would be of the sales that occurred in 2025. I do on the bottom part of this sheet have the sale date and the sale price and any potential adjusted price. Sometimes there's a time of sale adjustment per se for some of the older sales, which these weren't. They were all within 2025 and didn't have a time of sale adjustment. So these would be again, per Markarian, would be the value that would be assessed to these properties within the current roll. So I know sometimes maybe on a tax bill, there's some parts that talk about equalized value, but these are going to be the assessed values within the roll for these comparable properties this year that I'm comparing your property to.
Okay. Otherwise, I have no other questions at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the assessor or Mr. Harkness? All right.
I have one
Oh,
quick question, if
sorry,
you
go
don't mind, sorry. The 96.5% or 0.5%, and then the 95.66%, what does that represent?
Well, it's just a different way of looking at this. The statistic of variance. We generally say we have to be within 10%, so within 90% of the overall value of those comparables. So it's just saying I'm within that 10% of variance. So either you could look at it as within 4% or again within that 90% of 100%.
Okay. Go ahead and close the testimony. And any discussion for the board or emotions? Not emotions, a motion. Starting discussion, if no one has a motion. I think it's within the 2%, which we've seen before, having been in that 4% increase this year. I think it's a fair assessment. I don't think that it's out of the realm of where everything else is at. Taking what the assessor says is the evaluation.
Excuse me, are you speaking of the 306,200? Is that what you're speaking of?
No, what she valued at 318,800. Because you're within that 2.94%, and if you listen to the previous one, minus the one that we ruled on, the rest of them were at that 2-something% increase. The house is next to that one. So I feel like that's within what we've seen in the city as far as increases go. But I'm looking for a motion from anybody else on the board. Or any other discussion.
The somebody correct me if I'm wrong, the comparable I'm looking at, and I think it's one that was on the owner's list, is the 340 West Page, which is literally 1 block away from this property. Same vintage in the 1960s, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. And when I'm looking at this comp sheet, if you go over to the right, is that what they're assessed at? I see the lot and then the improvements for 328,900. And it looks like the sale was 335 in 2025.
That's their assessed value, was 328.
Am I reading that right?
You are.
340 West Page Street, it was sold at 335, correct?
And it was assessed at 328,900.
Uh,
Is that that's what he's asking? Is he reading that correctly?
Where do you see the 328?
On your sheet?
On the right-hand
Oh.
part over here.
Yeah, no,
That's something different?
that is something different.
Okay. No, I'm glad I asked the question then.
So am I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the main piece that would be that sale number, the 335, and a lot of times it's the square feet, bed, bath count, and then to the complete right, this dollar per square foot sometimes is what people look at, and then the note as far as what that style is.
Okay. Do we know what the assessment is
I can
for
confirm that.
340 West Page?
You want the parcel number?
I have it.
Okay.
$335 even. Market value being their sale price,
Was there assessed value?
is their current assessed value.
And that one's pretty comparable. 1960,
Yeah, it
a
was
little
on
bit
the-
more square feet.
Yep.
Is it still permissible to ask Kurt a question? What?
The board can reopen discussion if you want to.
Go ahead, Tim.
Kurt, do you see that comparable?
The one with 1,600 square feet of space, that's what
Well,
we're
I guess
talking
that's
about?
my question for you. What's the difference that I'm not seeing?
400 square feet.
Okay, that's a lot. There you go, okay. But they are assessed 17,000 more.
Yes.
But it's not the assessment, it's the sale price, it's the sale price of the comparables that we're speaking about. That's the process to use sale prices for determining the value, not assessed values of other properties.
Well, I think you used it as a comparable, though.
Well, I know, but it's also a 1,600 square foot home.
That's why I asked. I wanted to see, I figured
Well,
there was a
because
difference.
we were trying to include everything without being impartial one way or the other.
Yep, it's
You know.
good to have all that information.
Okay, so the threshold question then for the board is whether or not the applicants met the burden of proving that the assessor's valuation is wrong. And then if so, the second question then would be what the number should be.
I don't believe that he has met the burden. I think that the assessor's value is correct. If we're asking that, if we're putting the question to the floor, that is my opinion. But we have to have a motion and a second. Can I make that motion? I have to wait for these guys. Oh, I make the motion to uphold the assessor's valuation.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Excuse me, which assessment? The 306,200 or the 318,800?
The 318.8. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Sarah Larson,
Yes.
Ken Gaudreau,
Yes.
Tim Schroeder,
Yes.
All right. So, Kurt, if you want to wait, Rebecca will get you a copy. All right, we'll give Rebecca a moment to get all her paperwork done. Sir, who are you here with? Sorry, my phone thought I said, hey Siri. Started talking to me. You're with the storage place? Okay. Yep. If you want to give Rebecca a chance, and then we'll do yours.
Did they email you their notice of hearing, right?
they did.
Did they email you anything this afternoon on the actual objection form or no? Because they had to turn that in.
They did, and I printed that out because I got
Oh, the
it
application
just
form.
like an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So they turned that in.
yeah, it's in the packet that I provided, it's this last one, they provided agent authorization and a request of waiver, for waiver. You can have mine if you'd like.
Okay. Did they request a waiver?
They did.
They did,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm gonna go make a copy and then we can discuss this, yep. Cause there's a Walgreens,
Right.
so we're gonna discuss that part.
So,
Yeah.
I will be right back.
do you have a water back there? I'm sorry? Do you have a water back there?
I can get you, can are you thirsty? I can get you one, yes.
Thank you, dear.
I've got
You okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
Just moving slow.
Right, which is why I think that was changed.
I think if you would have actually came to open book, maybe they would have adjusted it to that, is my understanding. But he didn't follow.
Yeah.
Not to say to do that, I'm
Not to
I'm
be.
for private
And
residence.
that's
Yeah.
It seems like that is
But you
not
also
the
have to
appetite
follow.
of
And he
Elkhorn,
knows, you know,
but I bring that up because I know it got,
and he could have found
I'd
out.
rather have the decision than not.
Well, and I think the board definitely has to talk about it, whether they're going that way or not.
You were
They
bumping
could,
around.
and they filed
I
the
walked out of the house
application, now
without
it
my
looks
drink.
like
I had it ready. I made it.
It was sitting next to my purse, and I Thank you, dear.
What is it, back, trying to re-exam. But,
Oh, I was pretty sure that decision was done.
okay,
They,
that's what I was,
verbatim, he told me I filed. I don't care when you're, what, point blank.
yeah.
I was gonna say, what was surprising was normally they sort of forma, they do like there's more submitted.
Right.
Now they've essentially satisfied.
Well, that's why it seems a little weird.
Before I
when they-
came here, I was
Right,
like,
before they, the way they
that
structured it
is-
seemed a little strange to me.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, yeah, I leave that up to you, how you guys.
Yeah.
Chris, what are we doing about the Walgreens
Well, I
one?
think we're going to go on the record and talk about it, because
Okay.
they did now file an application apparently, just this afternoon by email again.
Oh, to waive it to circuit
Right.
court?
Yes.
Well, additional information in general.
Yeah, and they filed their agent authorization, and they filed their objection. So let's go on the record, we'll spell that out.
I'm like, this is. Like, I was like, whatever. I'm sorry, Chris, I'm speaking at Lori.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm just reviewing this. I
So we
hadn't
just
seen
need to
this.
go and like discuss that they are waiving their, and they want to go to circuit court.
Well, it's ultimately up to the board. I mean, they can't unilaterally waive it, so the board's gonna have to approve it.
Good to me, bye.
That's kind of my sense. And then it's,
Kurt's info, did he, he's not even here anymore?
No, the store, if we're gonna hear this upcoming case.
Oh, no,
Is he
we're just
requesting-
gonna say, hey, it can go to circuit court, that's fine.
is he for a hearing?
He's a walk.
He is.
Oh, would you like that back?
Okay, okay.
Wherever I put that?
Yeah, he's not with.
Absolutely, sorry about that, I didn't mean to
But you did
commandeer
get-
that at all.
when did you get
Let's see
that?
where I-
I got that
Did I
yesterday.
throw it in with
Okay.
my other things?
So it was not,
Within
it
the
was within
48
the
hours.
48, yes.
But see, we've set precedent and we've seen them before, so.
Yeah, that's where currently-
There you go.
Has he turned, has he completed the form? or-
Should
Yeah.
be in the.
What is funny
I think I'm just
that
I
was
think-
I tried to talk with him beforehand, cause
It's been a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's go back on the record. We'll deal with Walgreens first, and then we
Okay.
can talk about this.
And then
Cause
if
I
we
know
do
Hold on, I'm
move
just trying to
forward,
pull
I
my
will
Walgreens.
need
had
to
to
enter
enter
it
it
as
as
it
it
was.
was.
Because
Okay.
I don't
had a
have,
sheet already.
since it
Oh.
was a walk-in, I didn't prepare a case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Do we need a motion and
so
second that, or just be like,
and I
sounds
wanted
good,
to-
Well,
bye?
so the-
wanted to
so the-
avoid the whole feeling of like, you're gonna try to get me
so,
there. So kind of
should we deal with
give
him
them a
first, if
warning,
he's here?
hey, we're not done with our review.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's
Why
do
don't
it.
you come on up and grab a seat?
Giving it more down, but I already, and I sent that.
Trying to get reorganized here.
Whole detail out of what that, like,
So what's your name, sir?
that
My name's
assessment
Joseph
also
Doherty,
has-
and I own
without everyone's
Surdome
approval, I can't make
and Midwest Storage Associates.
Okay, give us 1 second to
All the time you need.
redo here. This is, yeah, go for it, sorry. This is for the next one. Just trying to reorganize our lives up here.
So did you request a hearing 48 hours out or no?
I do not.
You did not. Okay,
I was
so,
out of town, and I returned to town yesterday morning and came here immediately.
okay. So for the board's information, the way this works out, people are allowed to come within the first 2 hours and request hearings, but they do have to make a showing of good cause why they didn't request the hearing within the 48 hours. So that's kind of the threshold question that the board would have to decide, whether or not he's made a showing of good cause sufficient to waive the 48-hour requirement. You also have to complete, if the board agrees that that's okay, you also have to agree, you also have to complete the application form within the first 2 hours. And I don't know if you've done that yet. So that would have to be completed. You have, okay. And then if the board ultimately decides to grant you a hearing, you don't have the right to have the hearing right now unless the assessor were to waive it, because the assessor is entitled to 48 hours notice to prepare for the hearing.
Fully
So-
understand.
So
I
that
just
you
hope
would
I have an
necessarily get the hearing
opportunity,
now.
if not now.
So the threshold question for the board then is, I think we need to have a conversation about why you didn't put in your request for the hearing 48 hours out, and then the board has to decide from there whether or not that's sufficient good cause or not. So why didn't you,
I spent most of my winter out of town. I did return to Elkhorn on Monday evening about 9 p.m. and came to the office yesterday and met with Rebecca.
okay. Does the board have any questions for you, or? You
So how do you get your mail then when you're not in town? Or who looks at your, like, how do you know to pay your taxes?
How do I know to pay my taxes? I didn't worry about this. I spoke with Accurate at the end of January, February. I recall getting a letter that they wanted permission for somebody to come out on my property. So I just called, and I thought it was a done deal. I let them know I didn't make any changes in 2025. And the person I spoke to said, "Oh, you're all set. You're good to go." And I'm like, so I didn't. When I got home and I saw this.
So you got home on, excuse me, sorry, Monday and saw your tax bill and then decided to come
Day
in?
morning, and then I
Okay.
came straight here.
Okay. So you don't get mail when you're not here?
I have someone check it, but usually all my bills are auto pay, and
Okay.
I get inundated with junk mail. And
Any other questions?
No.
What's the board's pleasure?
I guess I have no problem with
I
granting
don't,
them a hearing.
but is Lori available?
Or do
So
need to-
So we
So
want to
first
hear
question-
him?
The first question is whether or not you find that there's good cause. So I think we should do a formal motion on that, and a vote. And then if you do find that there's good cause, then the question becomes whether Lori is prepared to have the hearing now, or if we adjourn it out to give her time to prepare for that. and presumably you as well. I'm not sure if you're prepared to hear the case, to try your case yet or not. Again, obviously, you know you have the burden of proof, so you would have to be prepared to present your case in a way that hopefully would.
I'm not 100% prepared, but I have some statements I can make regarding appraisals and assessments of mini storage facilities.
Okay.
Well, I guess I would move that there is good cause.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
So then the question goes to Lori. I mean, you do have the right to 48 hours notice before you have a hearing.
I do.
Obviously, in this case, that's
I'm
not.
prepared to talk about it. I just don't have anything printed for you guys to review, but I can speak on behalf of the property.
Okay.
All right, then we will proceed.
Okay.
Do you have your stuff?
Can I just take the rule book?
Yep. Give us 1 second, Joe, to get a couple of things filled out.
For your time, I really appreciate it.
Ready? All right. Go ahead, Rebecca.
This case is of Joe
Gordy?
Doherty with Surdom Inc. The property owner resides at, we have a P.O. box that was on file, P.O. Box 933 in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. The address for the property in question is 1090 County Road H. Tax key number for this property is YA 41490000001. This property has been classified for assessment purposes as commercial. The value in the assessment roll for the current year is $282,700. Improvements is $2,555,300, and total assessment is $2,838,000. Would all persons intending to provide testimony for this hearing, including the assessor, please raise your right hand to be sworn? Perfect. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now on hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would each person who has just been sworn please state your name and address for the record?
Joseph M. Doherty, N8206 High Ridge Drive, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, 53121.
Assessor, please state the estimated level of assessment for the current year.
100%.
All right, Mr. Doherty, you can go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to do your little
I'll
spiel?
do that. You just probably sat through it a couple times. In fact, I don't have a copy of your actual application form, so I'm not sure what number are you putting on the assessment?
When I filled that out yesterday, I was lost. I think I put 1.4 million.
There it is. Okay, cool.
I forgot to give you one.
There we go. That's fine. Okay, so just so we'll lay out the process here a little, just so you're clear. Again, under state law, you probably heard tonight, under state law, you as the property owner have the burden of proving that the assessor's assessment was incorrect. In other words, the assessor's assessment is presumed to be correct unless you can convince the board otherwise, okay? So that because you have the burden of proof, that means you get to go first, you get to present your case, make your arguments as to why you think the assessment value is wrong. The assessor would then have the opportunity to ask you any questions that she has. The board can ask you any questions that they have, and then your piece of it's done, at least for the short term. Then the assessor gets to present her case as to why she thinks the value of the property was assessed correctly. You would have the opportunity to ask her any questions. The board has the opportunity to ask her questions as well. Once all the questioning is done, at that point, the evidence portion of the hearing closes. The board then deliberates. Usually there's an opportunity for a closing statement before the board deliberates where you can kind of summarize your case for the board. Then the board deliberates from there. If they find that you didn't carry your burden, then the assessor's assessment is presumed to be correct. If they find that you did carry your burden, then the board would decide what the number was. Okay.
Okay, like I said, I just returned here. I wasn't anticipating this at all. I didn't anticipate any change in my property taxes after my last conversation with the representative from Accurate. So I don't have physical evidence right now to back up. Like, my assessment is twice what it cost me to build. And when appraising mini storage facilities is a very, very difficult thing to do, and not a lot of companies know how to accurately appraise mini storage. There's about 6 companies in the country that when you want to buy or sell a mini storage facility, they strictly appraise only mini storage facilities because it's very difficult to properly appraise them. I know what it costs for me to build my facility, but your appraisal is based on your pro forma, which is your net monthly income times 12 times a cap rate. My facility is worth about $400,000 less than I built it for. No one would pay me more than $1.4 million for my facility, which is what I built it for. At this $2.8 million assessment, and potentially my property taxes going from $11,000 to $38,000, you could put me out of business. I moved to this community in 2006 and have grown to love it. And I don't even know how this is possible. In 2025 of January, my buildings were complete. The last thing that got done on my property was having my fence enclose the entire property. That was completed on January 22nd of 2025. How do you come up with $2.5 million in improvements for a fence? Don't know.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Doherty?
As a commercial property owner, when we do market update years, we send out requests for income and expense. I verified that your property would have been sent a request. Do you recall receiving, or if you had completed that?
I don't. I just see city assessor. I don't know your name.
Lori.
Lori, I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? You have a question, Sam? Oh, you look like you. Ken, any questions? No. All right. Lori?
Sure, and again, I apologize, I don't have anything printed. I did review this property. It appears, just looking back at it, it is new construction, and the type is mini storage or self-storage facility. The way the record reads, as it's new construction, we check on the progress as of the first of the year. In 2025, it was noted as 90% completed, so kind of not 100%, but basically kind of there. When it's under construction, most often we will lean towards things like cost of construction, which generally is reflected within the permit. While it's under construction, it would be different as though it's until it's completed. So prior valuations would have been more based off of that. After the first of the year, this year we identified it as being 100% completed. So therefore, we would look at it again differently as it's now fully completed, which traditionally will be, again, sale of oneself. If not sale of oneself, then sale of comparables Tertiary to that would be values, any additional valuation method, most likely for commercial properties. That's going to prioritize also an income approach, as the property owner also had noted. Within that would have been cost again as well, cost primarily until it's completed, not after completion. I would also just like to add, and again, just reading from Wisconsin State Statutes 7047, Section 7, subsection AF. No person may appear before the board to review, testify to the board by telephone, or object to valuation if the valuation was made by the assessor or the objector using the income method, unless no later than 7 days before the first meeting of the board of review, the person supplies to the assessor all the information about income and expense. So generally, that's why we do request by all commercial property owners the opportunity to supply that information. Historically, that's sent out by mail. People can send that back in whatever methodology they'd like. This year, we also did add a link to our website, which would have been within that instruction with a QR code. So when they pull up their parcel, it actually is a link within their parcel, just as an additional way of more easily supplying that information. I reviewed our commercial analysis, and I didn't see anything supplied by the property owner. So therefore, when valuing it now as a completed parcel, we would have reviewed, again, anything else that we would have received, which generally would have been sales and other market activity, as well as an income analysis, whether that be within some of the materials that we have to look at, again, the city as well as the county, as well as any other property owner that would have supplied it within the city. So that is the methodology. Generally, we're looking at sales and income and doing a reconciliation of value. I can see, based on the information that was supplied, this year, essentially the valuation went down to about $58.29 per square foot based on the square feet that we have total between the buildings. That is what then equals the total value on the roll. Again, I wouldn't necessarily lean towards the property owner's valuation just based on the state statutes. That information wasn't supplied, therefore, we can't necessarily look at that argument. Just as I got the objection form or the indication to come today, I did take a peek at the website for the supply, for the mini storage. There was only one unit that had some pricing in there, but I did kind of scale that out based on the size of that unit and how many square feet that would be and what was the rental posted for that, and just kind of did an income approach that, based on at least that information that was available, did continue to support, if anything, would have supported a higher valuation, although again, it's just one metric there, but it was the best information available to me, which wouldn't have indicated an additional change from how the review had placed the current valuation. So again, per the statutes, wouldn't have looked at the, no additional information was supplied, nor would it be today to have the consideration of an income approach supplied by the property owner.
Okay.
May I speak?
We have to ask questions, then you can ask a question.
Great, thank you. Sorry.
Jim, I just want to make a note that Jim came back at 7:20. Welcome back. All right. Does the board have any questions for the assessor?
So my question is, was last year's assessment around $1 million? You said the 25 was fair.
He said the 25. Was
Yeah.
fair.
Was that $1 million?
And that's when it was at 90%. I'm sorry. I'm adding on
Yeah,
your question.
so my question, that's at 90%, approximately $1 million?
It was set at $768,700. So
Okay.
again, it's not looking at an income approach or a market approach. It's merely looking
And so-
more at the cost based on the permit itself.
And it's
a-
only
and a
90%, so you could
completed.
add the 10%, maybe
It's-
add the fence.
But not even that 10%, because it's looking at a cost methodology versus
Okay,
market and income, and where Mark Herian would state us as a fully completed parcel. So it's a different methodology of valuation kind of altogether there.
okay. But I'm just, so in 1 year's time, though, it doubled.
Now it's a completed property, completed parcel.
So
Completed
it's based
construction.
off of the potential income? That's what his valuation is based off of?
That would be market value based on a cost approach.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, so the way it's currently valued would have been off of both market, so market sales on a price per square foot, as well as looking at an income approach based on other like mini storage unit properties. And
So
then a
there's one right next to
reconciliation.
him, right?
I do not know.
Yeah, there's one.
There's one up the
there's
road just a
south,
little ways.
There's one south.
I can't
There's a lot-
picture where
there's a lot of
his
them.
is.
There's a lot
So,
of them.
well, there's another one on H there, right? Right by the,
Further south.
okay, he's
This
further
one.
up. I can't, whatever. I don't go that way anymore.
So I just want to kind of clarify the kind of factual issue here. So if I understand the assessor correctly, you're saying you did use the income approach in reaching the assessment on this property, is that right?
There's going to be both a review of market as well as income
Okay.
and a reconciliation of that. Yes.
And you did request the information that's allowed to be requested in
Correct.
support, and you didn't provide, that wasn't provided?
Correct.
I mean, statutorily, then he's not even allowed to appeal at this point, because the information was provided to him and he didn't. You can explain why that was, and we can go into that, but the state statute's pretty clear that if that request was made, if as long as the income approach was used, either by you or you for that matter. And
I recall getting that letter. Was it sent certified? I don't recall ever getting that letter. I would have responded. And maybe I don't know. That's all I can say. Don't ever recall getting that letter. But if we can just go at if it was 90% in 2025, 90% complete, and I had a valuation of $760,000, 10% more, and my value goes up $2.5 million, you're putting me out of business. That 10% of $2.5 million, when at 90% it was 768. I mean, just in layman terms, just that should resonate with you guys, that's just, for lack of a better term, insane.
Well, I guess that's my question too. If you're doing a square foot method in January 1st of 2025, did the square foot double or more than double?
3.5 times.
Yeah,
Not based off of square feet at that time.
well, I thought you were just saying square foot.
It's a
A
completed
mix,
yacht, yeah.
yeah.
If I was 90% full, I wouldn't be here. That valuation would be accurate.
And that would be information we could derive off of an income that was not supported.
If it
So
was-
statutorily, there's nothing we can do about it,
No.
correct?
No, next
Yes.
year you can provide the information when it's requested, and then you can get the assessment adjusted at that point. But under state statute at this point, since the information the assessor would have needed in order to be able to put an accurate number on your property wasn't provided. So they had to come up with the number they came up with. And that's why statute.
I never got the letter. I mean, do I have an opportunity to hire an attorney to fight this year?
I can't give any legal advice, I represent the city here, but you can always talk to an attorney.
I mean, I'm just pleading to the board. 90% valuation.
But again, it's a different methodology. I mean, you're focused on the construction cost piece of it, and she's saying that's part of it, but there's an income approach here as well.
Just saying, if accurate appraisal assessed me at $760,000 at 90% complete, and then when I'm 10% more, when I'm 100% complete, that's an additional $2.5 million?
Let me ask the question. So you're focused on construction cost, right?
No, I'm focused on just the valuation of my property.
Right, but you're saying that I was at 90% the prior year,
At
and then the extra 10% this year.
$768,000.
So that gets you to turnkey. The business everything's done, it's built, right?
I didn't get my occupancy till today or yesterday.
Okay, but it's, again, so you haven't been opening till today?
I had got permission from zoning that I could because of just how many hurdles I had to jump through just to get this built.
When was that?
What's that?
When was that?
June of 2025.
You've been open for a year.
I've been open for
See,
approximately a year.
I think that's part of the issue here, because and I don't want to put word in the assessor's mouth, she can speak to this, but what I'm hearing is that she's saying, yes, there's a cost piece of this that looks into, we're also looking at the value of the business as a going concern. And you're focused on the cost of building it, which makes sense, but once you're open, once you're actually open for business and you got customers coming in, you're renting things, that changes things. And that's why they ask the information, what your revenue is, what your expenses are, so they can factor that in. when they request that and you don't provide it, then statutorily, it's out of our hands. Now, if you want to hire a lawyer and fight about that, you certainly can, but all I can tell you what the statute says. And I can read it, I mean, the assessor already read it, but I can read it again. No person may appear before the Board of Review, testify to the Board of Review by telephone, or object to valuation if the valuation was made by the assessor or the objector using the income method, unless no later than 7 days before the first meeting of the Board of Review, the person supplies to the assessor all of the information about income and expenses as specified in the manual that the assessor requests.
What
So-
manual?
The assessment manual. So it's, at this point, unfortunately, it sounds to me like there's nothing to be done here. I mean, do we know, when would that request have been made?
I can look up the specific date those get mailed. Generally, they're around January of the start of the year, January, February.
Yeah.
Do you have a record of me calling and speaking with someone? Does that show up, like, on my file?
Let me take a look.
And they telling me there's nothing I need to do? That's why I didn't worry about it?
The discussion would have been about our field visit to check on completion of the property,
Right.
as stated by you as well. So that call is, filled out the permit for the building permit, mini storage complete.
And I
is essentially what
provided the
note indicates.
information.
When was that?
Nothing else has been done.
February 27th,
Of this
2026.
year? Okay.
Which would align when we sent out trespass letters asking, which relate to our
For
visiting the
property,
property.
yeah, for permission. I guess there's really nothing we can do about it.
State statute's clear. I mean, it's mandatory language. I think that's where we're at, unfortunately. Now, again, you always have the right to hire a lawyer and see if you think there's some arguments there to be made. Potentially, you could try to appeal to circuit court. I don't know if that would be allowed. That's stuff you can look into with your lawyer. The other option would be, I'm assuming they'll send out a letter again next year, right? At that point, you provide the information they're looking for. The assessment can be adjusted for the following tax year.
But nothing for this year.
It's too late.
So my taxes go to 40 grand.
Well, your assessment, it's not the taxes, the assessment, it's a different matter, but
Well, they're based on my assessment, aren't they? A percentage of my assessment?
it gets complicated, but yeah. I mean, so you're not, just because your assessed value goes up to a certain percentage doesn't mean your taxes are necessarily going to go up that same percentage. It depends on the mill rate, it depends on a lot of other factors, but check your mail. I'm not sure what to tell you.
Well, after I got off the phone with Accurate, let them know that I didn't have any changes. She said, "You're all set, Joe. There's nothing you need to do." Okay? That's what I'm going off a phone call. And it's gonna cause me great hardship. This is just, I understand. I'll just have to pursue it a different way.
Thanks, Joe.
Sorry.
Yeah, so am I.
Okay, now Walgreens. So the other matter that's on the agenda for tonight is the Walgreens appeal. And they did, within 48 hours out, they indicated that they were going to be requesting a hearing. They didn't actually submit their application or their actual objection form until this evening around 5 o'clock-ish, thereabouts?
Around 3, I would say.
3 o'clock, okay, so they
And
did.
I could be
they-
wrong, that's just giving an estimate, but
They
it was
did do
later
it-
this afternoon.
I mean, so it was within the 2 hours that's required by state statute, so they have met that requirement. And in their application, they also, or in their, along with their objection form, they also requested a waiver of the hearing. As the board may be aware, boards either upon request of the assessor or of the applicant, or the board in your own motion, can actually waive appeals into circuit court.
Yep.
Typically, that's done in situations where it's a complicated situation, if it's a commercial situation, if there's things that are going to be more difficult than, it's ultimately up to the board's discretion. You wouldn't have to grant the waiver. And frankly, the fact that they chose not to appear tonight is kind of a gamble on their part, because if you guys didn't grant the waiver, they're not here to present their case, so they could be effectively defaulted. But they have requested the waiver. I don't know what the past practice has been for the city. I'm not sure if it's a normal practice that they expected it would be granted.
Can I say
Again, it
one
was a
thing?
whisk.
Do you want me to give you the exact time it was received?
Sure. That's what's in the
Um,
record.
I mean, I would have to, Lori, do you have the email I forwarded over to you about Walgreens? It might have been within the last few hours.
Absolutely.
I just want to confirm before I say it was 3.
Yeah, and generally we grant those waivers.
And for what it's worth, I mean, I don't get a vote in these things, but my personal experience is that boards of review are, I mean, obviously none of us are experts, except with the exception of the assessor. None of the folks sitting at the dais here are experts on these issues. So if it's a relatively complicated commercial transaction, that tends to be my inclination as well, to kick it up to circuit court and let those issues be sorted out. But as I say, it's up to the board to make that call. And frankly, if I were in their shoes, I would have had somebody show up here tonight just in case you guys didn't grant the waiver, then they wouldn't be defaulted.
The
They've
email-
chosen not to do that.
Sorry, excuse me.
You can certainly,
Go ahead.
you're a party, you can be heard.
The email was sent, at least in the chain, to Natalie at 3:42, and Natalie forwarded within 4 minutes. Or Rebecca, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Natalie is who sent it to Rebecca.
Yes, yep.
The objection form was received at 3:42 this afternoon, basically. So I think where we stand is the question that's immediately in front of the board is whether or not,
It wasn't quite 2 hours.
yeah.
But I'm inclined to say, send it on.
That's the board's pleasure. I mean, your motion.
I would make a motion to send it on to circuit court. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Fantastic. All right, we don't have to schedule any additional board meetings, and I would have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, everybody.